13 murders, more than 50 rapes. For over 40 years, nobody knew the man behind it. He didn't hide in some dark fantasy world. He lived like a normal neighbor. So who was he really? And how did he get away with it for so long? Because when you start looking at his life, this case becomes even more unsettling. On the surface, Joseph DeAngelo looked like someone living a normal life. But behind that ordinary image was a man who will become one of the most feared criminals in California history. And what makes this story so disturbing is how long he managed to stay hiding in plain sight. So before he became known as the Golden State Killer, let's go back and look at who he was in the beginning. Joseph James DeAngelo was born in Bath, New York in 1945, and he was the oldest of 4 children. Later, people in his family said his childhood was deeply troubled, with abuse at home and traumatic experiences that may have shaped who he became. One of the darkest things later said about his early life was that while his father was stationed in West Germany, Joseph was forced to witness his sister being raped by 2 airmen when he was still just a child. His sibling later said their father was abusive too. And even if that doesn't explain everything, it shows he grew up in a very troubled home. Later, the family moved to Sacramento, California, and from outside, his life started to look more normal. He went to a school in Sacramento area, joined the US Navy in 1964, and served during the Vietnam era before counting his education. After that, he studied police science, earned a degree in criminal justice, and built a background that made him look respectable on paper. Once you know what investigators later connected him to, the normal image started to feel much darker. Over the next few years, more than 40 rapes across Northern California were linked to the same offender. At first, he attacked women who were alone or with children, but by 1977, he had escalated and was attacking couples inside their own homes. He stalked neighborhoods, made hang-up calls, broke in at night, tied people up, and sometimes even placed dishes on the man's back while threatening to kill them if anything moved. It was cruel, calculated, and terrifying, and the whole community began to live in fear. Around 1970, he got engaged to a classmate named Bonnie, and later, their relationship would take on a disturbing meaning in the case. According to later accounts, the relationship ended because of abusing behavior. Years later, one of them said he cried out Bonnie's name during an attack. The detail is chilling because it suggests that long before he was publicly identified, some of his private anger was already spilling into the crimes. In 1973, DeAngelo was working as a police officer in Exeter, near Visalia, and later investigators would connect him to the crimes of the Visalia Ransacker. The person linked to him had already been breaking into homes in Visalia in 1974 and 1975. He stole small personal items and acted in a way that felt deeply invasive and unsettling. These were not just normal burglaries. There was already something personal and disturbing about them. Then on September 11, 1975, everything changed. During an attempted kidnapping of a teenage girl named Beth Snelling, her father, Claude Snelling, stepped in and was shot to death. It was one of the first clear signs that this offender was willing to kill if someone got in his way. Later that same year, Officer William McGowan confronted a suspicious man connected to Visalia case. but the suspect opened fire and got away. Later, DeAngelo admitted guilt to the murder of Claude Snelling, the attempted kidnapping of Beth Snelling, and the attempted murder of McGowan as part of his plea deal. People bought stronger locks, armed themselves, formed neighborhood patrols, and tried to protect each other, while the attacker kept slipping away. In 1977, the attacks spread beyond Sacramento in places like Stockton and later to Modesto, San Jose, in Contra Costa County. One of the most shocking moments came in 1978, when a Sacramento County couple, Brian and Katie Major, were shot and killed while walking their dog near an area linked to earlier attacks. By that point, this was no longer just a rape case. People were beginning to realize that the violence was getting worse. The rapes in North California stopped, but the violence did not. By late 1979, investigators believed the same offender had moved in South California, and there, the crime became even more violent. This part of the case later became known as the original Night Stalker. Between 1979 and 1986, 10 people were murdered in South California. Some of the victims were couples, others were women attacked while alone. For years, these crimes were investigated in different places and under different names. So for a long time, no one could fully see how much of it was connected. Then, in 2001, DNA finally confirmed that the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker were the same person. That means one man was behind a huge series of break-ins, rapes, and murders across California. Later, the name Golden State Killer became the one most people knew. But even then, the biggest question was still the same. Who was he? And how had he stayed hiding for so long? Then, decades later, DNA technology changed everything. Investigators used DNA from the crime scenes, followed family links, and finally connected the evidence to DeAngelo. On April 2024, Joseph DeAngelo was arrested. In June 2020, he pleaded guilty. And in August 2020, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. After more than 40 years, the man behind the case was finally identified. But even after that, one question still stayed behind. How could someone look so ordinary on the outside while hiding something this dark for so long? If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. You can also follow me for more videos like this. I'm Eva, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.